Magandang gabi, Pilipinas. Good evening, fellow Filipinos. Good morning and good afternoon to the other participants from other parts of the world who are with us for tonight's session. Welcome to the IGP's 236th free international webinar. Thank you so much for joining with us in this wonderful session. Once again, I am your host. I am Mr. Rian Junpi calling from Aklan, Philippines, and I will be in charge for tonight's activity. I am a senior high school mathematics teacher of Batan Academy National School in the Department of Education, Division of Aklan, Philippines. It is a great honor and privilege to be in the IGP as one of the consistent webinar hosts and, of course, to be one of the 1,000 active members around the globe. It is my delight to welcome you all in this institution of global professionals free international webinar. I hope everyone will stay active to participate in our activities later, especially in our IGP quiz, for you to have a chance to win an e-certificate. And before we continue, you may like and comment while our webinar is going on. Please tag, share, and mention your friends in the comment box so that we can be able to share with them the knowledge that our speaker will impart to us tonight. Because we believe that in this virtual world, we can watch together and learn together. The events and activities that IGP provide to us, dear participants, are proofs that pandemic does not just bring challenges and difficulties in life, but also it offers a lot of opportunities for us to learn and grow professionally. So, for the new members, let me just give some backgrounds about IGP. IGP stands for Institute of Global Professionals. It is an ISO certified education institute and has certified trainings and webinars that is reflected in the e-certificate that each participant will receive after attending every session. It is recognized internationally and globally accredited to more than 100 countries, and IGP is a leading online skill development institute with thousands of learners worldwide. IGP serves the world communities by providing innovation to help build a world with a strong foundation of education and life skills. IGP gives opportunities accessible to every knowledge seeker to gain mastery of skills, to develop personality, to become more goal oriented, to strengthen confidence in facing any circumstances in life, and to enhance skills by inviting great speakers and professionals from other parts of the world. The organization believes that skills development is not only gained through a formal education, so IGP offers free virtual training and consultation to young professionals who are willing to learn, improve, and embrace changes. IGP organizes webinars, trainings, both offline and online courses with the best and highly trained speakers and coaches from all corners of the world to create a best learning platform for all of us, dear participants. Before we continue, again, please share, tag, comment, and mention your friends in the comment box, and it will also serve as your support to our organization. Moreover, participants who will attend to this free international webinar will receive an e-certificate that they can use in the future. Today, we are presenting to you the 236th free international webinar entitled Gamification, the Future of Distance Learning. And we have our speaker coming from the Philippines who will edify us regarding the topic, and he will be introduced later as he delivers his lecture. Meanwhile, to our dear participants, you can take down your questions and queries about his lecture, and later on, we will have our question and answer part where you can address it to our speaker. And now it's time to start our program. Let me introduce to you our one and only speaker for tonight. He is a college instructor. He is also a licensed professional teacher. He is an education program head, a pre-service teacher supervisor, and a college students government organization advisor. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Sir Paul Martin B. De Vera from the Philippines.
Thank you, Sir June, for that wonderful and very well put together introduction. And it's so nice to be back here at IGP. If you can remember, dear participants, I've hosted several webinars. And now I'm back as a resource speaker. So I'd like to thank, of course, IGP for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my knowledge and talk about gamification in today's international webinar. So let me share my screen so we can start. Let's see. Let's see here. Is my presentation visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible already.
All right. Thank you, Sir June.
Yeah.
All right. So you might be wondering, dear participants, why am I here to discuss about gamification when in fact I am an educator? Well, prior to teaching, I was working as a project manager for a software development company in Ortigas. It's called Right Size Business Systems. So it's a software development company that specializes in education, technology softwares, and applications. Now, if you're from the Philippines and if you're with the Department of Education, you might have encountered SPLAT, or Supporting Parents, Learners, and Teachers, which is an ed tech app that some of the public elementary and secondary schools are already using across the country. And I was one of the project managers of that software back then. So that was prior to teaching. So again, for today's webinar, I am going to discuss gamification, the future of distance learning. So let's start. All right, so my presentation is divided into three parts. So first, we are going to discuss distance learning pre and during COVID-19 pandemic. And then we'll go to an introduction, just a brief introduction to gamification. And then the last part of my discussion is going to be about the strategies and some apps and gamification that we can use in distance education. All right, so distance education, as we all know, so it is defined as a style of learning where teachers and students are physically separated and different technologies are used so that they can communicate effectively. So let me emphasize two elements under distance education. So first, the teachers and students are physically separated, meaning to say it is not under a normal or conventional classroom setup. So in order for distance education to take place, teachers and students need to be physically separated. And then the other element is it is aided by technologies in communicating, in delivering activities. So in distance education, it's very important that first, teachers and students are separated, not face to face. And then the second one is the use of technologies. Now, the arrival of COVID-19 has changed distance learning from an attractive option to a necessity. So prior to or the pre-COVID-19 situation of our education system, distance learning has been an alternative, meaning to say face-to-face or normal classroom instruction has been the priority. It's been the norm, and distance learning is just an option. However, because of the pandemic, distance learning has become a necessity already. It's because majority of all the schools closed because of the pandemic, and because of that, we eventually transitioned to distance learning. Now, schools have had to create or fast track distance education plans to get teachers and students on board with the latest technology as quickly as possible. I bet my dear participants and educators, just like myself, can very much relate to this. We were given such a very limited time to study, to attend webinars when it comes to tools that we can use in online education. And with such limited time, um, it is not enough for us to be equipped with the right and the enough knowledge that we need to, implement distance education or online education. So it's been such a challenge for all of us educators. But as teachers, we are very resilient. So we made sure that amidst the pandemic, we were still able to deliver learning modalities that are flexible and that are available with the current resources that we have. So that's how resilient and resourceful teachers are. Now, here are some challenges of distance education, not just in this time of pandemic, but also even before. This has been the challenges of distance education. So first are the distractions. Distractions are everywhere. We can be or students can be distracted by television shows. They have their peers waiting for them outside. So distractions are everywhere. And then, of course, time management. So, since our learners are staying at home, so they are torn between two activities. They have to do some household chores and then they have to attend to their online classes. So, time management can really be such an issue, especially if the learners and as well as teachers have, a lot of responsibilities at home. Another one is technical issues. And I'm pretty sure all of us can relate to this. This includes um, connectivity issues, lack of gadgets, the technological gap or the digital gap that we call. And this digital gap has been happening even before the pandemic. And this has been amplified because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So the digital divide between those who have the gadgets and those who do not have been uh, um, wider because of the pandemic. So technical issues, these are normal and we cannot avoid this from happening, especially now that we have transitioned to a distance education. And because of that digital divide, some students are, of course, being left behind, especially those who are underprivileged, those who don't have the resources to attend to online classes. They don't have the gadgets, they don't have the money to buy the gadgets, to buy the mobile data or load that they need to attend to these to their classes, their online classes. So some students are being left behind, especially those underprivileged ones. And of course, social aspects have been diminished. Um, there were no physical contact or social socialization between the children or the learners because of the current pandemic, because of the threat of being exposed or contracting COVID-19. So definitely the social aspects have been diminished, and that's one of the problems right now. How are we going to develop the social skills of our learners, their interpersonal skills at this time of pandemic? So this has really been a challenge for all of us, and of course, staying motivated. And staying motivated has something to do with student engagement. So how are we going to engage our students now that we have shifted to online distance education? So practitioners, when we say practitioners, we are talking about educators or teachers. So teachers like us, they have ranked student engagement as the number one priority challenge in 2020. And the previous year, 2019, the student engagement is just ranked number three. So just imagine, in just a matter of 1 year, student engagement has been the number one priority challenge. since we have shifted to online distance education. And these are some of just of the sentiments of our educators that have shifted to online distance learning. So one educator have said that students were not given clear expectations and did not see the purpose to engage in distance learning. And I'm pretty sure we can all relate to this. Since things happened so quickly, we were not given enough time to, set proper expectations, set goals with our students. So this is really happening as we face the current pandemic. And another teacher also said that it's really hard to motivate kids without in-person interactions. The diversity of activities is limited with school closures, and the relationships are much harder to maintain. Usually, the relationships are the foundation of these connections that keep kids engaged. Exactly. And this is what we miss in distance learning. We don't see kids roaming around the classroom, performing group activities, collaborating, cooperating. And this aspect of education or learning is very important. This has to be developed at such a young age. And this is one of the things that our children, our learners are missing because of this current pandemic or situation that we have. And children are creatures of habit. This is true. Routines that students are used to at school are lost when they are at home. So many have no structure at all when they are at home, and therefore keeping the student fully engaged, even for half the day, is difficult to achieve. And this is because of the distractions that are present inside the home. So, this is where gamification comes in. So when we say gamification, you can refer to the words. We have reward, just to give you an idea. So when we say gamification, this has something to do with learning, of course. We also have goal, organizational productivity, achievement, challenge, skill, and user engagement. So we are going to talk more about gamification in the coming slides. All right, so let us first define gamification. So the root word here is game. So gamification is the use of game thinking and game mechanics in a non-game context in order to engage users and solve problems. So basically, what gamification is it is the use of game elements. So the elements, the mechanics that we find or that we see in games, and then incorporating those mechanics or elements in a non-game context. So to better understand gamification, now this concept is not new. This actually started in 2010, and gamification has been put in order for consumers to be motivated to engage more with businesses, websites, online communities, purchasing products. So you might, I'm pretty sure that you are very familiar with the two pictures below. So the rewards card. So every time we purchase something using our credit card, we eventually get, points in exchange that we can exchange into rewards or items, right? Also, loyalty cards. So these things are not new to us anymore. And we are not even aware that this is gamification. So, again, when we say gamification, there are these game elements or mechanics that are being used in a non game context, such as the rewards card and the loyalty card. And other examples of everyday gamification is, of course, when credit card offers rewards points or cashback on some or all of your purchases. And then this is very familiar, earning stars or stickers. that you can cash in for free beverages from your favorite coffee chain. So that's also gamification, as well as earning badges for completing tasks on a website or in a mobile app, and competing with your coworkers for a gift card or other prize as a reward for achieving the highest performance. So these are all familiar to us, and we didn't even know that this is gamification. Now, gamification in education. So, as educators and curricularists, we are challenged to create learning experiences that first engage and motivate learners. That's number one. And then number two, provide practice opportunities to gain confidence using new skills and knowledge. And the third one is assess learning progress through the practice opportunities. When we say practice opportunities, these are activities that we provide the learners. And lastly, give meaningful feedback to learners to improve performance. So these are the challenges that we are experiencing in education. So, how are we going to engage and motivate learners? How are we going to provide activities that still provides or develops their confidence in using their skills or knowledge? So, these are just some of the challenges that we are facing right now as we transition from face to face classroom um, setup to online distance learning. Now, without gamification, learners recall just 10%. So just imagine, they only recall 10% of what they read and 20% of what they hear. So just imagine it's just 10% that they can remember. So they can only recall 10% of, so for example, you've been discussing for 45 minutes or 1 hour, and without gamification, they only remember 10% or 20%. And then when you put visuals, when you integrate um, action, or by them doing the activity, it increases, but only up to 50%. So how are we going to raise the numbers? Of course, that is through gamification. Now, it might seem that gamification is a simple concept, but gamification can actually produce big results. Now, this is backed up by researches, by studies, and one of which is from the University of Colorado. So, according to their study, they have found out that users of gamification in learning scored higher in fact and skills based assessments. And retention also have been improved when gamification was used in the classroom. So, we might phrase the question, so is gamification really helpful? And the answer, of course, is yes. Because, like I said, these are products of researches, of studies, which we know that uh, it's a long process. So, according to them, over 75% of people are gamers. So, the ideas, the elements, the mechanics that are in gamification are already familiar to whoever is going to use the gamification. So, these can be used to improve learning outcomes, definitely. So, you already know the answer if gamification um, can help learners. So when gamification is used in the classroom, so these are statistics, and these are all based on studies and researches. So learners remember 90%, just imagine, if they do the job themselves. So learning by doing. So again, if they are responsible for their own learning, if they are hands on, they remember 90%. And almost 80% of the learners say that they would be more productive in their school or institution or activity if it was more game like, or if there was elements, or if there were elements or mechanics of a game that is incorporated into the instruction. And now, over or more than 60% of learners would be motivated by leaderboards and increased competition between students. Now, we are going to talk about much about leaderboards in the succeeding slides. And then 89% would be more engaged to win an e-learning application if it had a point system. So I will discuss this further in the coming slides. All right, so although these numbers are very promising, right? So the other side of the coin, of course, everything has another side, or everything has a catch. So it's going to tell us that gamifying a learning experience is not easy, especially doing it successfully. So gamification in online learning has lots of complexities, so it's not easy. It could also mean high costs in implementing these gamification concept into your instruction. It can also take a very long time just to create a gamification concept, and of course the development will also take time. And because of this, many think that it's not a viable solution unless you have a larger than normal budget. So is budget really an issue? Are there gamification apps or software or tools that we can use for free? So that's something that we will find out in the coming slides. Though successful gamification in distance learning is not about creating a game. Gamification employs the use of game mechanics into the learning experience. So again, some of the misconceptions is that gamification will take a lot of our money, of our efforts, but the truth is gamification is just a concept, meaning it is the idea of putting game elements into the learning experience of our learners. And how do we do that? So, so here are some of the popular mechanics or elements that we can use to gamify the learning of our students. So the first one is challenge. So that is the first element. So how do we put the element of challenge into our instruction? So almost everyone likes a challenge because we naturally think we can handle them. So a challenge is possibly one of the most motivational game elements for learners. And an example could be one learner challenging another to come up with an opposing point of view, such as a debate on a particular theory or topic. Attaching a reward to a challenge can make it even more effective. So there are two elements here. One is the challenge, and the other one is the reward for the challenge. So there's always these game elements incorporated in every activity. So for this one, there is the challenge and there is the reward. Challenge is already effective, but to make it more effective, gamification tells us that there should be a reward to make it more effective. So what other elements? Number two is points. So the point system is highly effective in helping learners measure their success and achievements. So it's something that they can see. So points are a good way to reward learners for a check-in or a video watch. So it is very important for this element that the learners have access, that the learners can see where they stand when it comes to their points. And it is also very important that we give the points fairly and in a timely manner. So let's take a look at an example. So here, so what the educator or the teacher did was she created, or she used the gamification concept by giving points. So there's XP plus 520. And she even used a popular movie, which is Harry Potter, to engage the learners to participate. So here, we can tell that the teacher have grouped the students according to the names of the groups also on the movie Harry Potter. So Ravenclaw student. So that means that one student from the group Ravenclaw has earned 520 points. So that is for the second element, which is points. So what other elements do we have? Now, aside from points, we can also give out stickers, badges, and trophies. So when a learner obtains a certain number of points, perhaps for watching all the videos in a particular module, they could be awarded a badge, sticker, or trophy. And this is a pretty standard convention that people are familiar with and have used in other walks of life, such as video games or even a coffee card where you obtain a number of points toward your free cup of coffee. And we are very much familiar with this, especially those who work at night, are night shifters. These types of rewards are big drivers of motivation. So again, we can yes, we can give points, but we can also be creative by giving out stickers or badges and of course trophies. So all of these three are customizable. So let's take a look at an example. All right, so you can see classroom badges here. You can these are all customizable. So depending on, of course, the teacher and of course the needs of the students. For example, for you can give them a birthday badge that they can unlock on their birthday, and you can also attach a point to this badge. Say for example, you can add 5 points. So this is something that they will look forward to. Or they can also, or you can also give out a proficient badge that that they can only unlock if they get a proficient score on a quiz or a test. So again, these are all customizable depending on the needs of your classroom, and this will also depend on whether you are trying to develop their, is it their academic the academic part or the academic needs of the students, or is it the behavioral aspect of the students that you're trying to improve? So it would really depend on your goals or your objectives, and of course, the needs of your classroom. And we also have leaderboards. So everyone wants to be the leader or recognized among their peers. A leaderboard can be a huge motivator in this respect. So maybe it's a list of the top three cohorts in ranking order. And in most cases, moving up the leaderboard can increase a learner's enthusiasm and participation. So we all love to be on top, right? However, we have to be very careful with, with leaderboards because this can create or this can demotivate students, especially when they are on the bottom part of the leaderboard. They might feel demotivated because they might feel that they have to put in a lot of work in order for them to be included in the upper half of the leaderboard. So they might feel demotivated because they have to catch up on, you know, on a lot of points in order for them to make it to the upper half of the leaderboard. So we have to be very careful in choosing which elements are to be incorporated in our gamified classroom. So that is leaderboards. So this is an example. So we have eighth grade engineering leaderboard. So as you can see, the students are ranked according to the points that they have earned. So in this example, Gabriella earned 96,000 points. So she's currently the first one on the rank, and then so on and so forth. So again, we have to be very careful because, of course, there are students that are on the bottom and they might feel demotivated because they might feel like there's no chance anymore. They might feel hopeless that, you know, even if I submit this or do this, still I am still going to be part of that bottom half of the leaderboard. So might as well not submit. Might as well not submit or do the task that was assigned to me. So we have to be, again, be very careful with the in choosing the leaderboard as an element of our gamified classroom. And last element, and this is constraints. When we say constraints, these are limitations. This can be a time restriction. Um, this can be a point restriction. So to give you an example, I guess we are familiar with quizzes, which is an application that we can use for giving out assessments or evaluation. So in quizzes, if you're not familiar with it, so you can take the test, right? So there are questions, and then the faster that you answer the questions, the higher the points that you will get. So that is what is meant by constraints. So for this example, Pam Beasley got the highest points, maybe because she answered the questions faster than everybody else. So she got the most number of questions correctly, plus she answered the questions faster than everybody else. So that is what is being meant by constraints. So those are the elements of gamification. So let's now come to the benefits of gamification in distance learning. So of course, there are several, well, we can cite several benefits of gamification, but at the end of the day, it all boils down to increasing engagement because as we all know, even if our learners already have access to technology, to all the gadgets, they still, they are still demotivated for some reasons. We can't ask them to log in on time to Google Meet or Skype or Zoom just to attend their class. So the very purpose of gamification is to increase engagement. And while they are having fun, they are also learning. And actually, in gamification, the fun is just a bonus because the purpose of gamification actually is for the students to get as many information or knowledge and skills as possible. Plus, they are not aware that they are, learning a lot of things because what they know is that they are just playing or they are just having fun. So, what are the benefits that we can get from a gamification? So, of course, better learning experience. So, it's so much fun to learn, right? But this is impossible if there's no elements of games incorporated in the instruction. So like what we always hear or say, it is more fun if it's not more fun in the Philippines, but it's more fun if there are games involved because spoon feeding the students can be boring and they're tired of it. They're tired of long lectures. They're tired of just listening to the teacher, even if it's face to face or online. So as educators, as curricularists, that we have the liberty to create the the environment that we want in our classroom. We have that power through our lesson plans, right? So we can include game elements so that the students are having fun while learning. So again, gamification gives our students better learning experience. And of course, another benefit is immediate feedback. So with gamification, we can provide instant feedback to our learners. And this is very important, not just, regarding their academic achievements, but as well as, when we see their behaviors. It's important that we commend or give them commendation for their positive behavior. Let's say, for example, if they are being courteous, if they are being polite, if we want to give them if we want to commend them for those positive behaviors, we have to make sure that we give it immediately or real time because it will mean a lot to them, not just because it has a reward, but because we have noticed. And for children, for students, it's very important that we notice them. Sometimes they get unruly inside the classroom, but all they want actually is for us to notice them. So it's very important that we give immediate feedback. And when we see something, whether good or bad, that we address it immediately or real time. Because it improves learners' engagement and retention and recall, especially when we command or give points, for example, for say acts of um, say if we caught them helping another learner or student, if it becomes a behavior already, then chances are he's going to be helpful even if he steps out of the classroom or out of the school. So this is very important, that we give immediate feedback, that we give immediate recognition to the students because these are important to them. All right. And of course, better learning environment. So gamification provides an informal environment for learners to work out real life situation in a safe environment. Safe because there's no face-to-face interaction. So all interactions are done online or remotely, for that matter. And this actually helps to increase the quality of the learning experience and leads to better knowledge retention. All right, and gamification is applicable for most learning needs. So gamification helps to achieve many learning needs, including onboarding, learner support, soft skills, and increased awareness. So it's not just beneficial to the academic aspects, but also to the soft skills or to the development of the soft skills, the people skills, interpersonal skills, social skills, and of course awareness to social issues or issues inside the classroom such as bullying or racism. And it is very important that they are aware of these issues because at the end of the day, when they step out of the classroom, they will realize that the culture inside the school is almost the same as the culture outside. They have to realize that there is a bigger form of racism, there is a bigger form of bullying outside the classroom. So it is important that they're also aware of this. They are aware of the consequences whenever they bully someone. So that's why gamification is really important because in gamification, say for example, you can add points or you can give points to positive behaviors that you can see, and also you have also the option to diminish points whenever you see them unruly, whenever you see them bully someone, or whenever you see them being racist, for example. So again, uh, this has to be decided by the teacher depending on the needs of the class, and of course depending on the objectives and the goals that the teacher have set for the students to achieve at the end of the school year. But the idea here is that gamification is applicable for most learning needs, and of course if they're aware of if they're socially aware of these issues, then of course they are going to change their behavior. So again, gamification is not just earning points, badges, leaderboards, or trophies, but it can also drive increased behavioral change. And this is very important. That when they step out of the classroom, they are better people, and that is the beauty of gamification. Because if they know that they are rewarded for say every time that they do well in school, whenever they behave properly, then chances are this will be developed into a behavior already. And when they step out of the classroom, you know they are going to bring that positive behavior outside, and they'll be good citizens of the world. All right, so I am sure that you are excited to know what tools and apps that we can use to gamify our online classroom. So the first one is this. I'm not sure if you are familiar, but I actually chose the applications or the softwares that are not, really well known, but are very promising when it comes to gamifying the classroom. And this is one of those apps and software. So this is, as you can see, No Ray. So No Ray is an adaptive math learning application. So to those who are teaching math, so this is the best app that you can use to gamify your instruction. So this gamification example helps students succeed in math by assessing, personalizing, and engaging students with game-like features and beautiful graphics along with a social learning component. So let's take a look at NoRay. So this is the dashboard of the application. So based on the dashboard itself, we can already tell that NoRay, instead of points, they use stars here and trophies as well. And it's like I said, it's very important that the learners know where they stand in a gamified classroom. So it is very commendable that NoRay is, if you can see the progress bar, so it will turn green whenever they earn a point. So it is very important, and that's actually the beauty of gamification. When you see your progress, you tend to do more, you tend to achieve more. You don't settle for what you have. You will do your best to excel and to do better. So that's the beauty of Nore, because you can see your progress, you can see your points, so there is transparency. And this is something that my co-teachers, especially those who teach math, yeah, this is according to them the best gamification app for math. So, yep. Um, so another element that Nore is using is the story element. So, of course, learners are more engaged if, to them, they're just reading a story, but when in fact, you're actually teaching them something. Your topic for that day is already incorporated in that story with, of course, the aesthetics, the animation that was used, of course, will engage the students. So this is the beauty of Nore. It's like you're just reading a story, but it's actually teaching you something. It's already explaining the concept of what you are trying to teach that day. So what is the change in temperature on the moon? So yeah, looks like it's just a conversation, but actually, it's already the topic that they have to learn for that day. Now here are, of course, there's no perfect application. So there are pros, there are cons. So one of the pros of Nori is that the site's adaptive learning program adjusts to kids' skill levels. So it's very important, that the application itself adjusts to the skill levels of the students. However, the rewards offered could be more kid-friendly and fun. Actually, this one is a responsibility of the teacher, because the rewards should be should be something that will entice the students to achieve that reward. So it's very important that there is a clear communication between the teacher and the students. It's important that as a teacher you ask the students, what do you want, because the rewards should be relevant to them. It's something that they will aspire to achieve at the end of the day. So there has to be a clear and open communication between the teacher and the students. And with Nore, they don't have that feature wherein the students can message the teacher. There's no avenue for them to interact or communicate. So that's the con of this application. But the bottom line is, with adaptive features and solid support, Nore is still a fantastic tool to support our online instruction. All right, so for the next application, this is not Twitter. So this is Duolingo. So Duolingo is a free language learning platform. So again, this is free. Gamification doesn't have to be expensive. That's one of the misconceptions again of gamification. So this is a free language learning platform, currently offering over 68 language courses. So pretty much all the students across the globe can utilize Duolingo, which is very perfect because this is an international webinar and we have international participants. So yeah, this app is currently being offered in 68 languages, and it utilizes progress bars, which is very important. That the learners see where they stand, where they're at. It has strength meters, still for transparency, of course, rewards and daily challenges. Remember the challenges, they're a very important element of gamification. So challenges to help the learner become more proficient in the new language. So if you're um, an ESL teacher trying to teach, English to say Koreans or other countries, then Duolingo is the perfect app to gamify your instruction. So this is the dashboard of Duolingo. So as you can see, there's also the element of points, and they also used the element of leaderboard, which again, we have to be very cautious in using this element because again, this can demotivate those students who are far behind. So, yep, this is the progress bar. So, of course, you can edit the goal as a teacher. So, these are the game elements that we can see in the Duolingo app. So, these are the icons, the points. It's very important to for the students to know how many points they're going to get for every activity. And let's see here. All right, and for this activity, again, this is a multiple choice type of question. So it's very important that again the students know or that the students are being rewarded real time. So if they get the correct answer, they eventually see a green check mark saying that they are correct. Or if they are incorrect, they will see a red mark saying that they're incorrect. So it's very important that they know. And we have applications wherein the teachers have an option to hide or to disregard this element of knowing whether you're correct or not. And I suggest that you do not use or that you do not hide, you know, the uh, the answer. I mean, not the answer, but the result, because it's very important for the students to know whether if they're correct or not. Okay, so it's very important that they see, that whenever they answer, there's a real time response that yeah, I'm correct. No, I'm incorrect. So yeah, it's very important that the element of um, timeliness in getting a response is here. So good job for Duolingo for doing that. So again, there are pros and cons. So for the pros, it's free and you can actually create podcasts for currently it's only available for Spanish and French, but maybe in the future they can expand the choices. And then there is a clear structure and it's being offered in many languages. However, the quantity of material varies among languages. So somehow there is not really discrimination, but maybe because some languages are spoken or there are a lot of speakers of that specific language. That's why, there are more materials available for them. So that's the only con that I can um, cite um, for this app. But the bottom line is it's still an excellent way to supplement in language learning if you're trying to, or if the students are trying to learn a different language other than their own. So this is a very good gamification application that you can use. All right. So for the next application that we are going to discuss is, so it looks like a nugget. And this is Class Dojo. So it is a classroom tool that helps teachers improve the behavior of their classrooms in a fun and compelling way. In this gamification example, students are assigned an avatar that administers a reward or consequence depending on their behavior and on goals that are set up from the beginning. Class Dojo employs a whole host of mechanics, including badges, levels, leaderboards, and more. And this is actually one of my favorite gamification apps because this is very much you can actually tailor your needs to whatever features that you'd like to see in Class Dojo. So this is very customizable. So let's see the dashboard. So again, it's very important that the students know where they stand. So you can see that you can see your points. Say, for example, you're a student, you are logged into your account, you can see right away the points that you have. So in this example, they are arranged alphabetically, and you actually have an option to um, whether you'd like the last names first or the first names first, or just the first name without the last name. So checking attendance is very much easier with Class Dojo because you can also see uh, who are online and who's not, and then you can actually group the students. It's easier to group students when you use Class Dojo. So table 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And what's good with Class Dojo is that you have the option as a teacher whether to give just the positive um, or points for the positive behavior, or you will also give points for the negative behavior. So, and you also have the option to give points for a specific task. For example, for being on task, you can put 5 points for being on task. And then, say, for example, teamwork, 3 points. So, again, as a teacher, you have the liberty to assign points to these positive behaviors. And also, like I said, what I like about Class Dojo is that if you are someone who doesn't believe that your students have to be punished by giving negative points, then you can opt out of the negative points. So it's not necessary that you also assign a point for the negative ones. But if you decide to give points for the negative behaviors, then that is also possible with Class Dojo. So, for example, well, for this example, this is pretty much for the face-to-face setup. If you caught the students fighting, you can deduct 2 points. So, for additional points, it's green, like that. So 2 points, 3 points, and then the red ones are the negative points. But if you choose not to give them negative points, that's fine. Then you can only see the green ones. So that's the beauty of Class Dojo because you have the liberty whether to just give positive points and not give negative points. But if you decide to give negative points, then that's also perfectly fine and possible with Class Dojo. And the feature that I really love or like about Class Dojo is that it's parent or parental engagement feature, wherein whenever there's an activity, for example, I'm a teacher, I posted an activity, the parents will be automatically notified via email, via SMS, like, Happy Friday, don't forget to take a look at Class Dojo reports today. The parents are also sent with a summary of their points or progress via email, via SMS. So it's very important that the parents are involved in the learning process of the students. And for me, this is plus points for Class Dojo because they are trying to involve, or they have done something to involve the parents in the learning process of the students. So good job, Class Dojo, for having this feature, because it's really important that the parents also know what's happening inside your virtual classroom, because in that they will be notified if the students did not log in on time. Say for example, you have a scheduled a class via Google Meet, and the student did not log in on time, then the parent will be notified. So in that way, there is a collaboration and a group effort between the parents and the teacher. So this is one of the features that I really like about Class Dojo, the parental engagement feature. So aside from that, it is excellent in behavior tracking. Also, it has teacher resources. The design is tailored for kinder to junior high school. So meaning to say, the con is it's not so good for older students, especially for college students. However, I have used Class Dojo for my college students, and it worked just as effective as with the junior high school students. So, but again, every classroom is unique. So what works for me might not work for others. So I put that as a con. It might not be so good for older students because they can't relate to the aesthetics of the app, or the idea of being punished. Because when the students are already old enough or matured enough, these things don't really matter to them, or it's not very interesting for them anymore. So the bottom line, it's a must-have for creating a culture of respect, accountability to parents, and incentives for students to perform at their optimal level. And I agree with this. It's very important that parents know that they are also part of the learning process of their children, that they are accountable also for the learning outcomes of their children. So good job again for Class Dojo for uh, creating this feature. And the last but not the least, so it is very similar to if you're playing with Mobile Legends. So this is somewhat similar to that app or game. And this is actually the closest one, the closest educational gamifying app, closest to the popular games available today that that our students are very much familiar with. And this is Classcraft. And it is an online platform that is built to help K to 12 teachers gamify their classroom in order to increase student engagement and collaboration, as well as build a positive classroom culture. So the goal of Classcraft is to transform normal lessons into narrative-based quests where each student has an important role and voice. So let's see. So this is how the dashboard looks like. So as you can see, it's very much similar. This is the closest that the students can get to Mobile Legends or Call of Duty, or whatever um, Android game that they have on their phone. And this is something that is very familiar to them. So pretty much there's an instant connection. Definitely, there will be an instant connection between the students in this application. So there's no need really to, explain much because the students already know. They're already familiar how this works. So they already know that they get points, um, they level up, for accomplishing tasks. So this is, for me, this is the gamification app that our children or our learners are very much familiar with. And as you can see, there's also transparency here because the students can see their points or where they stand. Let's take a look at, so here. So they can create their own avatar or their own character. And depending on the points that they have, they can purchase, additional or a new costume for their avatar, like a new weapon. So this is really something that they're very much familiar with. Like no need to explain to them how this works because they already know. Trust me. And then these are the badges, and you can actually customize this one depending on your activity or depending on what skill you'd like them to develop. And of course, Classcraft has pros and cons. So students can earn items to upgrade their character. Very important because this is also what's going on with the games that they play, with Mobile Legends or other games, that they can upgrade their character. So it makes the gamification more personalized. The students become motivated because it is akin or similar to the game that they are already playing. And of course, the ability to divide students by groups and messages, very important, and have different activities customized for your classroom. However, I've put this as a con. For younger students or those with minimal experience playing role playing games, they may have a hard time finding the tool useful. So if they're not, a gamer, then this might be a con. So again, it depends on the type of classroom and the type of students that you have. However, the bottom line is that this is a nice tool to manage the classroom, enhance student engagement, and add elements of gamification. So again, this is the closest one, and this is the app that most of our learners are very much familiar with. And you have to always keep in mind that there's no perfect app. And this is true. As you may have noticed, there's always pros, there's always cons. And while these gamification tools may work for some, others may have a completely different experience for a variety of factors, from the students using it to how the educator actually implements it. So, again, depending on your goals, on your set objectives, depending on the needs of your students and of your classroom, depending on the skills that you'd like to improve or develop. So your gamification app will also change. So what you have to do is, of course, first you have to set your goals and objectives. What skills do I want my students to develop? Do I want them to focus or to improve the academic aspect of their learning? Or do I wish for them to develop their behavior first? So it's really up to you. And as a teacher, we have that liberty, right? So again, there's no perfect app, and one app may work for some and it might not work for the others. So again, it's really up to the goals that you have set and the needs of your classroom. So again, I guess that's the end of my presentation. So yeah, game over. But yeah, thank you all for joining us in today's webinar. And I hope our dear participants have learned something out of this presentation.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our speaker for tonight deserves a virtual applause. We are thankful for your comprehensive and wonderful presentation and for giving us, of course, your valuable time. This session has been a great opportunity for our audience, especially to all educators around the globe who are planning to employ gamification in their teaching and learning process. Let me share some of my takeaways from Sir Paul's discussion. Um, it is true that through gamification, students can benefit a lot, especially when it is properly utilized, employed, and monitored. One of the hindrances during this pandemic is that we cannot communicate well with our students because of having no face to face classes. So, social interactions with teachers and among peers were also limited, which are important components of learning process. So through gamification, we can let our students engage. As we all know, based on experience and studies, when students are engaged, there is a high probability of learning. Okay, gamification can be used to improve learning outcomes. It can develop student socialization skills by engaging them. It is uh, Gamification is the use of game thinking and game elements or mechanics. Then gamification assess learning process through the process opportunities. It provides opportunities to gain confidence using new skills and knowledge. And of course, which is also important, is through gamification, it can give meaning, feedback to learners to improve performance. Okay. Of course, this might be different from yours, but these are always we always have something in common. And that is, we both learned tonight. Okay. So once again, thank you for enlightening us with your pearls of wisdom, Sir Paul Martin de Vera from the Philippines, for sharing to us the different applications available that we can utilize in gamifying our instructions. Sir, please stay with us because later we will have our question and answer part regarding about the topic that you discussed.
Sure,
We will give our participants opportunity to learn by asking questions for you. Okay?
sure.
So let us now proceed to our quiz competition. So we are encouraging everyone to participate and have a chance uh, to win an e-certificate in the quiz. So we will start our quiz. Again, we're encouraging everyone to join our quiz competition. The link for the quiz is posted on the comment section, and you may use the code to join, the code all caps IGP quiz. You may also access the quiz competition by browsing www.slido.com, in which you can join directly even without downloading the Slido app, or even without an account in the Slido. But for convenience, it is better that you download the Slido app so that you can easily access future quiz competitions of IGP. IGP will give an e-certificate to each participant who belongs to the top 10 list. Again, you can access the IGP quiz by clicking the link in the comment section, then use IGP quiz, all caps IGP quiz as the code to join the quiz. Okay. For the meantime, we have 98 participants. We now have 131 participants. And we are, okay, some of the names are flashing on the screen. Okay. So we have now 147 participants and it is still increasing. We are still waiting for the others to join this quiz competition. We now have 152 participants. Again, we have the link on the comment section. You can just click that and then enter the code all caps IGP quiz and you will be directed to enter the quiz. We now have 160 participants, but we will just choose top 10 participants who will receive an e-certificate. Okay, some of the names are on the screen. Okay, we have 167. We now have 170 participants who entered the game competition. Again, we will just choose top 10 or only 10 top participants who will receive an e-certificate. Okay, so at this time we have 173 participants and it is still increasing. Wow, there are so many participants tonight. Okay, we now have 175. Oh, 177. Okay, the names are flashed on the screen. You can see your names there. Okay, we now have 179. We have 181. And I don't think so if it will still increase. Okay, we have 184, 185. Wow, there are so many participants for tonight who are joining the quiz. It's overwhelming for the IGP. Okay, so we can really see that a lot of participants are really waiting for this quiz competition. We now have 190 participants in the quiz competition. And it also one of the reflections that our topic for today is tonight is very interesting. Well, for the educators around the globe, this topic is very helpful. Okay, so we have 195 participants, And we are waiting for the quiz to start. Okay, for the first question, what is one of the benefit of adding gamification to your class? Higher attrition, higher engagement, higher student engagement. Okay, 3% versus 97%. Let's check. Okay, 97% of the participants got the correct answer. Okay, let's see. Okay, the top five participants. Students are more likely to learn that failure is part of the process of learning. Is it true or false? Okay, 97% of the participants got the correct answer. Okay. Gamification is viewed as a result of technologies teacher centered, user centered. Okay, 11% versus 89%, and 89% of the participants got the correct answer. Let's check who got the correct. The top five who got the correct answer, and it's there. Okay, next question. Knowing your students can help when planning tasks in gamified classroom. Gamer type or favorite board games? Let's see. Okay, gamer type is the correct answer, and 67% of the participants got the correct answer. Let us see what's the next question. Just like in games, students move toward levels of mastery. Okay, just like in games, students move toward levels of mastery rather than grades. True or false? Okay, 96% of the participants got the correct answer. Okay, and we have, okay, next. To use gamification in the classroom, you have to create a full game experience to be successful. Is it true or false? Okay, 77% of the participants got the correct answer. Gamification is playing games and earning rewards, the use of design elements in non-game contexts. What do you think? Okay. Okay, the correct answer is the use of game design elements in a non-game context. Next, which of the following is not true? Students learn from more taking a test than studying for it. Assessment should only be given once. Okay, the correct answer is assessment should only be given once. That is not true. 62% of our participants got the correct answer. Wow. Let's have the next question. Okay, you can see who are on the top. Which of the following is not true? Gamification and playing are exactly the same. We constantly play games in our daily lives and don't even notice. Okay, 66% of our participants got the correct answer. Let's have the last question. What feature of gamification is used to indicate rewards that students get? Points, leaderboard. Let's see. Okay, the correct answer is points. Okay. So let's see who are on the top 10. Okay, we are seeing on the screen the top 5, and I think we have the updated. We will wait for the updated list of the winners. Okay, so okay, for the leaderboard. Okay, so we now have the updated list for the top 10 participants who will receive an e-certificate from IGP. We have on the number one spot, we have Lamberto S. Pilatan Jr. Number two, Russell M. Dorado. Number three, Kevin J. Alpuerto. Number four, Anna Marie Joy A. Mercado. Number five, Veneranda A. Jordan. Number six, Raquel Dolnuan. Number eight, Naong Lat Ton. And number nine, we have Glenny Ann C. Ramirez. And number 10, we have Cherry H. Torotoro. Okay, so congratulations to our top 10 participants. Your quiz certificate will be posted in IGP Facebook page. You can search for our Facebook page and look for the latest post. By then, you can download your e-certificate in winning the quiz. Once again, congratulations and thank you also to all participants who joined. For the non-winners, Just keep joining to our IGP quiz in every webinar session. And we have a lot of webinars coming. So there's a lot of chances also for you to win in our quiz competition. Okay. In this juncture, let us now come to the to the question and answer part of our webinar. And if you have any questions or queries in mind, please do not hesitate to type your question in the live comment section, and we will start the question and answer after this video. Okay, welcome back to our program. So, to our participants, you can type your questions on the live comment section. And we now have the first participant to have a question to Sir Paul Martin. I have two questions. By the way, this question is coming from Sir Peruz Akbarov. Question number one is, what is the difference between a reward mechanism and game mechanics? Number two, in terms of student engagement, do we form a habit in students as life skills or just use engagement for fun? Sir?
All right. So for question number one, um, the difference between a reward mechanism and game mechanics. Reward mechanism is part of game mechanics. So reward mechanism is an element of game mechanics. So that is the main difference between the two. And for question number two, in terms of student engagement, do we form a habit in students as life skills or just use engagement for fun? It's actually both. They are having fun while developing a habit or a positive behavior. So that's the beauty in gamification, that the students get to have fun while as teachers, we are trying to develop a positive behavior from them. So with gamification, it's like we're hitting two birds with one stone. So I hope I've answered your question, Mr. Akbarov.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Paul, for addressing that question from Sir Firuz Akbarov. Okay, another question from Ginaline Villar. Great evening, sir. What will be done to those who are at the bottom of the leaderboard so that they stay motivated? Thanks.
True. Actually, like I've always reminded or regularly reminded during my presentation that we have to be really careful with using the leaderboard as a game element in our gamified classroom. So what we can do to those who are at the bottom of the leaderboard is that we can actually give extra activities if that's okay with them so that they can catch up. There's nothing wrong with that. If you are actually teaching in the Department of Education or in a public school, it's actually perfectly fine if we give, extra activities so that a student can catch up. However, they remember that we are in a pandemic and that we have to be very careful with, giving activities because, whatever is um, given to them that, it might tire them. And when they're tired, they are just going to be more demotivated. So as a teacher, you actually have to decide whether giving additional activities for that student will benefit that student or if it's just going to demotivate him even more. So it's really up to you as a teacher to, whether to let the student, catch up, or if you think it's going to stress him, we have to be very careful because their mental health is also important. We never know how they will take additional activities when it comes to their mental health. So yeah, we really have to be very careful.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you for that wonderful answer. Okay, another question from Jude Priel Ayala. What would be the interventions or solutions once learners lose motivation to learn if gamification was pulled out from teaching learning process on some points?
The gamification is actually the intervention or the solution when it comes to lack of motivation or a lesser engagement when it comes to students. So for them to participate more and engage to activities more, we have to integrate gamification into our instruction. So gamification is the answer for the loss of motivation or lesser engagement in the classroom.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's have another question from Manolita Ramos Oligo. Sir De Vera, quite often, learners get caught up with excitement and forget the purpose of the entire initiative. How do you prevent the mistake of prioritizing rewards over the learning process and results?
Actually, that's the beauty with gamification. For this, it looks like from the outside, it looks like the students are just after the rewards, but unconsciously, they're actually developing these positive behaviors that go with having fun. So, just like what I said, it's like hitting two birds with one stone. um, Outsiders or those who are not involved in our classroom or online or our virtual classroom, they might see it as, they're just performing this activity because they're getting rewarded. But what they don't understand is that while they're doing that activity while having fun, we are also trying, or we're also helping them to develop essential social skills that they can use when they step out of the classroom. And that is very, very important that we develop to our children at a very young age.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's have. Okay, let's wait for the other question. Okay, from Shirley Medina Dangan. Are the gamification apps you shared for asynchronous classes or synchronous classes or both? Sir?
It's actually for both. Um, Pretty much all of the apps or softwares that I've shared, they're customizable depending on the needs of your classroom. So whether it's synchronous or asynchronous, because you can actually give out quizzes or activities real time, like as you go live. Say if you're using Google Meet or your Zoom, you can share your screen and uh, insert an application that will help you in gamifying your classroom. So whether it's synchronous or asynchronous, those apps that I've shared with you in my presentation are pretty much going to be useful and they are customizable.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Let's have another question from our participants. Okay. Question from Charlie Wal D. Mangubat. My question to the speaker is: do we suggest gamification to public or depth ed schools when most of them are engaging to modular, non online class system? I presume gamification is more conducive to private schools only.
That's actually a very good question. I am actually a deputy teacher, so I work in a public school. I am a junior high school teacher, and I also have college students. I also work part time in a local college here. And yes, we can use gamification even if we are using the modular type of learning delivery modality. That is perfectly fine. And what's good about that is that we can actually encourage our stakeholders to take part, especially when we are trying to set up a rewards store, wherein that store, coming from, you can we can solicit from the stakeholders for, say, school supplies, and then you can use as a teacher, for example, Class Dojo, to give out points. It doesn't matter if the learners are online, but it's very important that, if you have a GC or a group chat, that you let them know of where they stand or how many points that they already have, and then at the end of, say, the grading period, um, show them your store coming from, from the stakeholders, so that they'll be able to exchange those points with the items that are available in your store. So in that way, it's going to be like a collaborative effort from you, the teacher, the students, the parents, and the stakeholders. So yes, it is very much applicable to DepEd schools as well. And in fact, it actually encourages, collaboration among the stakeholders.
Okay, that's a good point, sir. Another question from our participants. Okay. Okay, question from Kevin Taduran. What learning style, profiler, or tool is to be used if gamification is introduced to students, considering learners has learning preference and styles?
That's a very good question. And actually, before we even go to that part wherein we choose what type of gamification app or software to use, we should already know. We should be able to establish, we should be able to identify what are the preferences of these students, what are their learning styles. Because that will determine what your gamification classroom is going to look like. Like I said, the applications or the software that I've shared with you are customizable. So depending on your objectives, the needs of your students, so yeah, pretty much you can customize these applications in order to fit the learning styles or the preferences of your students.
Okay. So it is very important that we have and we are very familiar with our students before we employ anything. Okay,
Correct.
let's have another question from our participants.
Actually, let me just share, in Department of Education or in public
Yes, sir.
schools, we actually ask onset, right, during enrollment, if the students have special needs, um, and they have an option to, to specify what learning needs would that be. So yeah, it's very important that before we even go to that part, wherein we are choosing the gamification app, that we already have identified the special needs of the students. And
Okay.
yeah, next question.
Thank, thank you, sir. We have another question from Marisa Kita Tobes. Good evening. How can we use gamification in a modular class setting?
Okay, so the recording of the points can be done in Class Dojo. Since as teachers, it is expected of us that we are online, whether we approve of it or not. As teachers, we have to be like always online. Now, it doesn't matter if the students are always online, but what you can do in a modular setting or modular modality is you can use Class Dojo in recording these points, because as a teacher, you're online. And then whenever they submit their modules, you can actually assign points. For example, for turning in their activity sheets on time, you can say it's worth 5 points. And then you start recording that in Class Dojo. And then at the end of the grading period or at the end of the week, it doesn't matter. Again, that's going to be identified by the teacher. So at the end of that period, what's more important is that you let them know the points that they have earned for that specific period, and you tell them what the rewards are. So even if it's in modular class setting, you can actually assign points for certain activities, as simple as returning modules, or if they have returned, for example, the activity sheets are not complete, you are expecting 10 activity sheets for that distribution and retrieval period, but they've only submitted, for example, 8. Then instead of giving 5 points, maybe you can give just 3 points. So even in a modular delivery learning delivery modality, it is still possible to gamify your distance education classroom. So it would also help, or it will also be based on how creative the teacher is. So yeah, that's just a suggestion, and I've actually done that uh, last school year.
Okay, so again, the keyword is creativity of the teacher.
Correct.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful answer. Okay, let's have another question from our participant, Corazon A. Quintana. Mr. De Vera, is this your assumption? The teachers are well equipped and knowledgeable on gamification. What if majority of them are digital immigrants? Okay, I think this
Yes,
is a very good question also, sir.
that is correct. This is actually a very valid question. Now, we only integrate gamification when there is less participation and less engagement in the classroom. Now, if your classroom or if your students are religiously submitting all the requirements, um, all their activity sheets, they're always present, then there's no need to integrate really gamification in your classroom. The very goal of gamification is that to engage to engage students to participate and to develop skills that will be based on the goals that we are going to set before the first day of classes. So it's not a requirement that as teachers we are equipped with this digital tools or digital knowledge, but it it's something that's going to be useful if you think that there is less participation, or less, if for example, in modular type of delivery modality, if you start noticing that less and less students are turning in their activity sheets on time, then you might as well start researching for gamification apps that you can use in order for the students to be motivated to turn in their activity sheets on time.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you, sir. Well, actually, most of the teachers here in the Philippines are, I can say, they must already be digitally literate because of the demands that this pandemic brought to education. Because we are already in this pandemic education where there is no face-to-face classes, and the only way that we can be able to improve the learning outcomes of our students is with the help of these technologies. Okay, so
Correct.
we have another question from AK Adikari to Martin. Sir, gamifications are positive learning ways, but when the network is so slow and technical issues are huge, then what can we do?
That's actually one of the downsides of gamification. Technical issues, and it's unavoidable because from time to time we experience power shortages, loss of internet connection, and that's perfectly normal. So what we can do is we go back to the basic, or to what we used to do before distance learning, which is we can use Excel or a spreadsheet to record the points in the meantime. We can use a notebook wherein we write their names, the points that they get, and then once that we have access to technology, then we make sure that we inform them of their status or where they stand.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir. And I think that was our last question for tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, let us give a virtual applause to Sir Paul Martin B. De Vera from the Philippines. Thank you so much, sir, for answering the questions of our participants, and also to all of you, our dear participants who actively participated in giving your questions. We are also learning from every question that you address to our speaker, because sometimes we are sharing the same questions in mind. Once again, to our dear speaker, Sir Paul Martin de Vera, we are very grateful for sparing your time just to be with us tonight. We owe a lot of learnings that we have acquired tonight. Sir Paul?
Thank you. Thank you. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Thank you, Sir June and IGP.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Okay, for the important announcement, based on huge requests from our learners, we will open our diploma certificate application for just 1 day on November 15. So in between time, please collect 130 certificates for reference and make a document or PDF file in advance that on the said date you can submit the form easily. It is all about the International Diploma Certificate, and I already have one of that. So I am also encouraging all the other participants. For the certification process, please note daily our certification details, the lifetime membership certificate only in every session, quiz completion certificates only for top 10 in every session, free international webinar certificates for all active participants, and there is no correlation between quiz competition certificates and international webinar certificates and webinar series certificates. Quiz certificates for the top 10 quiz competition winners, international webinar certificates for all active participants. Okay. Announcement, we have a free international webinar daily, and that is time fixed at every 6 p.m. Bangladesh Standard Time, UTC plus 6. Double bonus with regular webinar. Along with our regular webinars, we have also added webinars on every weekend, Sunday morning in the month of October. November morning sessions date is November 7, November 14, November 21, and November 28. That is 9:30 a.m. Bangladesh Standard Time. Okay. So take note of those dates every Sunday. 7, 14, 21, and 28 at 9:30 a.m. Starting from October, we have webinar series program. You will get individual certificate for each webinar, and after submitting all certificates, you will receive a webinar series certificate. Okay, it highly focused on the following: teaching strategies, research, assessment, pedagogy, tools and techniques, professional development, communication skills. Okay, so this webinar series, we're already done. We have the 5 parts webinar series. The topic was all about authentic assessment in teaching and learning. It was conducted last October 1, October 4, October 7, October 10, and October 26. So all you have to do is to collect all those certificates so that you can have that webinar series certificate all about authentic assessment and teaching and learning. Okay, the second webinar series program is composed of 4 parts, which is a topic about teaching English as a foreign language and assessment. Okay, again, this 4 webinar series or these 4 parts of the webinar series was already conducted last October 2, October 6, October 20, and October 24. And for you to avail that webinar series certificate, you have to collect all these 4 individual session certificates. The third webinar series program was composed of 6 parts, which is all about digital classroom engagement tools. Okay, the Part 1 was conducted last October 11. Part 2 was last October 12. Part 3 will be on December 3. Part 4 will be on December 5. Part 5 on December 10. And Part 6 on December 18. Okay. So we still have 4 parts to be conducted in this webinar series. Okay, it is all about digital classroom engagement tools. The fourth webinar series program is composed of 5 parts. The topic is all about the new trends in education. And part 1 will be on November 1, part 2 on November 7, part 3 on November 12, part 4 on November 20, and the part 5 will be conducted on November 28. Okay. So these are upcoming webinars this month of November. The fifth webinar series program will be composed of 5 parts, and it is all about organizational leadership and managerial skills. Part 1 will be on November 8th, Part 2 on November 15th, Part 3 on November 22, Part 4 on November 25, and Part 5 will be conducted on November 30. Okay, so these are the webinar topics to be conducted this November, this month of November. Okay, the sixth webinar series program is composed of 5 parts. The topic is all about trends and innovation in mathematics education. Wow, this is what I am waiting for. Part 1 will be on December 12. Part 2 will be on December 13. Part 3 on December 14. Part 4 on November 15. And the last part, Part 5, will be on December 16. So, calling all the mathematics educators to take note of these dates. For webinar series certificate, you have to attend all the parts of the series. Again, you have to have those individual certificate. Okay, let's go to the certification process step by step. Okay, important note that without an account on our website, you can visit, but you can't do anything functionally. So, to our dear participants who have no account yet, you can make an account to our website for you to avail all the benefits that IGP is offering to all of us. You can join our all live programs from Facebook page, Facebook group, YouTube channel, and website. If anyone missed any program due to some unavoidable issues, still you can attend previous webinars with verified certificates. Always remember again that without an account on our website, you can visit, but you can't do anything functionally. So I am encouraging all the participants who are with us tonight to please have an account. Important announcement. Just like what I said a while ago, based on huge requests from our learners, we will open our diploma certificate application form for just one day on November 15. So in between time, please collect 130 certificates for reference and make a doc or PDF file in advance that on that said date, you can submit the form easily. So, what are you waiting for? Start downloading all those certificates. 130 certificates. Okay, step 1 in our certification process. Of course, you have to go to you have to look for today's program name. The title is all about gamification, the future of distance learning. And it is dated October 31. Okay, so you can go to www.eduigp.com and then search for the title. Step 2, the certification link is, of course, it is posted in the comment box or in the pinned comment. Or you can also have the certification link in the program post, a Facebook page, Facebook group, and the YouTube, or in the program post description. You can click this link and you will be directed to the certification process. Okay, you can claim your certificate in two ways. First is direct link from the comment box, pin comment or post description, or if you're not able to click this link, please directly browse www.eduigp.com for all information together. Find today's program, then the process are the same. Okay, for the step three, browse www.eduigp.com or the given link, and you will be redirected to this page of our website. That's what you can see on the screen. You can click enroll now, and then you can go to our YouTube link, because in that YouTube link, the recorded video will be posted. If you are new, create your account. If you have an account, then log in directly. After that, find seminar title and get enrolled. That's what you can see on the screen. You have to create a new account so that you can easily access uh, IGP every time that you browse our website. You can easily log in. Without an account on our website, you can visit, but you can't do anything functionally. Okay, the most awaited part of this webinar session is for us to know the code. The code is all caps IGP 7313. Again, the code is all caps IGP 7313. You can now take the screenshot, or you can write it down in a piece of paper so that you can be able to download the certificate on gamification, the future of distance learning, anytime that you want. Always remember that without the code, no one is eligible for any certificate. With code, you can claim your certificates anytime. So, take a screenshot, or you can take it down in a piece of paper. Okay, so with code, click get certificate, and then you can now use the code. You can enter the code, all caps IGP 7313, and of course, that is the requirement to download your certificate, your e certificate. Okay, for the step six, of course, your e-certificate will now be downloaded, and it looks like this. You can see the title. Okay, so our free international webinar certificate is auto downloadable in PDF file. You don't need to download it manually. Dear participants, if any problem raised to claim your certificate or any other issues, please don't hesitate to contact us. We have www.eduigp.com. Our core team members are always ready in comment section to support you to find solutions. Okay, so we have the IGP community facilitating officials. On the Facebook page, we have Charis Bejo Cabiros and Janet Cablao. Thank you so much, Mom Charis and Mom Janet. We have Facebook group, Sherilyn Yamaguchi, Jonas Malingin, and Alonso Warren Carriaga. Thank you so much. Okay. For the YouTube channel, we have Calvin Linatok, Joel Danoog, and Jeffrey Sayag. Thank you so much for the three of you who plays a very important role in making this webinar session possible. Again, important announcement based on huge requests from our learners, we will open our diploma certificate application form for just 1 day on November 15. So in between time, please collect 130 certificates for reference and make a doc or PDF file in advance that on that said date you can submit the form easily. So for our dear participants who would like to avail this um, international diploma certificate, you can now start downloading those certificates. Okay, so we have the upcoming webinar this November, November 1, 2021. It is entitled New Trends in Education, Teaching Strategies in the New Normal. And we have three speakers from the Philippines. Okay, on November 2, 2021, we have educational engagement with brain boosting. And we have one speaker from India. On November 3, 2021, digital classroom with Canva. And we have one speaker from the Philippines. On November 4, 2021, importance of students' motivation and e-learning. And we have two speakers from Malaysia. Okay. On November 5, 2021, we have our webinar titled Principles of Becoming a Leader. And we have two speakers, one from South Africa and one from, okay, another webinar on November 6, 2021, Transcending Optimism in School Management. And we have one speaker from the Philippines. Another upcoming webinar on November 7, 2021, morning session. It is all about delivering digital classroom through ClassPoint. And we have a speaker from the Philippines. On November 8, 2021, evening session, we have the webinar series Upskilling Organization Leadership Managerial Skills entitled The Role of SBM in School Improvement Plan. And we have one speaker from the Philippines. Another webinar on November 9, 2021. It is all about educational action research. And we have a speaker from the Philippines also. On November 10, 2021, pedagogical approaches in the new normal. And we have a speaker from the Philippines. On November 11, 2021, supply chain management for the educational organizations. And we have one speaker from Indonesia. November 13, 2021, we have personality development and communication skills, and we have a speaker from India. On November 14, 2021, identify learners' needs with art of teaching, and we have a speaker from Sri Lanka. And this is on the morning session. On November 14, evening session, we have ethics and principles of communication, and we have a speaker from the Philippines. On November 15, the title is all about collaboration, extension, and linkages, which will be discussed by a speaker from the Philippines. On November 16, 2021, expanding your virtual classroom with Google Workspace. And we have two speakers also from the Philippines. On November 17, 2021, developing SIM and technique using modular and digital lesson. And we have two speakers also coming from the Philippines. November 18, 2021, statistics and probability, which will be discussed by two speakers from the Philippines. On November 19, 2021, integration of gender and development, or GAD, in teaching. And we have a speaker from the Philippines. On November 21, morning session, comics, linguistics, and visual language, the past and future of a field. And we will be enlightened by a speaker from India. Okay, on November 21, evening session, Gmail productivity hacks, thinking outside the inbox. Okay, we have a speaker from the Philippines also, and that is on the evening session of November 21. Okay, there's a lot more for this November. On November 22, 2021, project planning, monitoring, and evaluation. And we have a speaker from the Philippines. This is part 3 of a webinar series 5. Okay. On November 23, 2021, blended pedagogy, which will be discussed by a speaker from India. Okay. So there's a lot of upcoming webinars, and I think these are all interesting topics. Okay, let's wait for the other webinars. Okay, so once again, our code for tonight's program entitled Gamification, the Future of Distance Learning is all caps IGP 7313. Again, all caps IGP 7313. Okay, so you can now take the screenshot or you can write down the code so that you can be able to download your e-certificate. That is one of the requirements. Okay, so before we end, thank you so much to our dear participants who actively participated and engaged in tonight's session. So before we end, let me leave you with this short uh, reflection. Do not let this pandemic hinder your success to grow. Never allow it to stop you from achieving your dreams in life. Instead, let us look at the positive side and think of how we can be able to adjust and adapt with the changes brought by this pandemic. Remember that it is through pandemic that we were not able to interact physically, but it is also through this pandemic that we were able to learn how to utilize different learning platforms to connect and communicate with great people in the whole world by having webinars like this for free, of course, that is given free by IGP. There are many things to be thankful for. And thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, IGP. We hope to see you all again in the upcoming webinars. Stay happy and stay safe, everyone. Once again, from Auckland, Philippines, I am your host, Mr. Rian Jun P. Calling, signing off.